Thanks so much, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Series 3 webinar on Positive Youth Development Approach, Building Partnerships and Community Networks Around SRAE Programs. As Megan said, my name is Nancy Coppola. I am a Senior Project Manager at Public Strategies, and I am your moderator for today's workshop. We will be joined today by 3 webinar grantee panelists: Jennifer Todd from the University of San Antonio University Teen Health Program, Archie Kern from Choosing to Excel, and Nahum Munez from Victorville First Assembly of God. Jennifer will be our first presenter today, and Jennifer Todd is a registered nurse and attorney and is the program manager of University of Texas Teen Health. She has provided oversight for 15 grants over the past 10 years that focused on teen pregnancy prevention initiatives. She serves as the primary link between program components and community partners, schools, and clinics, promoting community mobilization and educating program stakeholders in non-legislative policy. She has created various training programs and co-authored a curricula designed for teens, and we're very excited to be hearing from Jennifer. Our next speaker will be Archie Kern from Choosing to Excel. Archie received his master's in human performance with an emphasis in sports management from the University of Alabama. His unique way of developing relationships beyond the classroom has resulted in major changes in behavior in the young men that he serves. He clearly understands that information coupled with relationship is key to positive growth, and we're excited to have Archie joining us today. Our final presenter will be Nahum Munez from the Victorville First Assembly of God, and Nahum is a leadership and discipleship pastor at Victorville First Assembly and program director for Thrive Youth HD. He holds a master's in leadership studies from Vanguard University and is pursuing an EDD in organizational change and leadership at the University of Southern California. He has been a minister with the Assemblies of God since 2012 and is passionate about helping students find academic success, developing healthy relationships, and reaching future goals. We are so excited to have these 3 presenters with us today, and I look forward to learning from them along with all of you. The objectives for today's webinar is that at the end of the webinar, you should all be able to understand the theoretical foundation and research of positive youth development, understand how to actively engage with other community-based organizations to ensure that youth have the networks and support systems needed to reach their potential, and to understand how to incorporate a positive youth development approach into your SRAE programs. The required components for SRAE are shown here as a reminder for what it is that you are expected to do as part of your grant delivery. The workshop today in addressing the positive youth approach really covers all of the A through F topics that are a requirement of the SRAE grants. With that, I would like to turn things over to Jennifer. Really excited, Jennifer, to hear from you. Looking forward to your presentation. And I am going to pass you the ball, and it's all yours.
Great, thank you. Welcome, everyone. As Nancy mentioned, I'm Jennifer Saavedra Todd, and I'm the project manager at UT Teen Health in San Antonio. And I'm so grateful to talk to you today about positive youth development, the theoretical foundation, models, and research and key practices. Throughout this first part of the presentation, we'll be utilizing what a lot of people are calling the Waterfall Strategy. So in your chat, you will have an opportunity to put some of the answers to some of the questions that we're posing. You'll also be able to utilize the chat room to ask any questions that you might have of myself and our other grantee presenters today. So with this waterfall strategy, I'm going to pose a question and you'll go ahead and type your response into the chat. but do not hit send. I'll give you a countdown so that we can send them all together, therefore creating this waterfall kind of effect on the chat screen. So we're going to try this. Here is your first question. When you hear the term positive youth development, what comes to mind? So go ahead and enter your response in the chat, and don't hit send just quite yet until I give you that countdown. So we're going to keep you on your toes, and we do want to make this as engaging as possible. So when you hear the term positive youth development, what comes to mind? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and hit send, and let's see what comes to mind. Healthy future adults, engaging youth, great. Intentionality, fun, positive ideas to help young people, healthy young people, interactive, excellent. Innovation, meeting youth where they're at. I love that. Relationships, yes, yes, Barbara. So youth engagement, showing students a way to reach their goals, yes, excellent. Well, positive youth development often generates the responses that we're seeing in the chat, engaging and empowering youth. We think about our programs, and we're considering all of the program and services communities provide to young people in order to address their needs and promote growth. Others often sometimes think of a specific approach or framework of interacting and working with young people. So I want to present this definition to you today from youth.gov, and it defines positive youth development as an intentional, pro-social approach that engages youth within their communities, schools, organization, peer groups, and families in a manner that is productive and constructive. PYD recognizes, utilizes, and enhances young people's strengths and promotes positive outcomes for young people by providing opportunities, fostering positive relationships, and furnishing the support needed to build on their leadership strengths. This is the definition we'll be using today as we discuss positive youth development. We understand that positive youth development as a framework that guides our organizations and community in the way that we structure our services, provide support and opportunities so that all young people can develop to their full potential. So we're going to start with a brief introduction to positive youth development's theoretical underpinnings and research. And we'll start off with one of the first theoretical frameworks or foundation for positive youth development. And this comes from Yuri Bronfenbrenner, that is a mouthful, in 1979 with his work in Ecological Framework of Human Development. So Bronfenbrenner noted that child and adolescent development occurs in interaction with a set of social systems, as you can see in the circle there. It allows that young person to grow up in this complex system of relationships affected by multiple levels of their surrounding environment, immediate family settings, schoolwork settings, neighborhoods, to the broad cultural values, laws, and customs as seen throughout the systems there. So when you look at this model, what system do you think is the most influential in a young person's life? So I want you to go ahead and type your responses in the chat, and do not hit send yet. We want to know, looking at this model, what system do you think is the most influential in the young person's life? Is it the microsystem, the mesosystem, exosystem, microsystem, or the last system? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and put your responses. And thank you, Sabrina, for that enthusiasm. Microsystem. Looks like microsystem it is. And you guys are absolutely correct. So the most, in looking at this model, that the most influential in a young person's life is that microsystem. It's the families, school, neighborhood, health services, peers, and religious organizations that make up that system. And it's through that interaction, if you'll notice that you have the child in that orange section in the middle, and there's arrows that are going between. And so it is those interactions between a young person and their environment that is reciprocal. So going back and forth between these systems. And this means that the development doesn't just happen to a child, but they are actively involved in shaping their own development. So young people are participants, not just recipients of the program. And we call this active agents. So young people are active agents in our programs. They can direct and influence events, and this is an important component to highlight. And I also want you to listen for as we hear our guest grantees talk about their best practices for youth engagement. So we cannot talk about positive youth development without further understanding the history. So we also need to consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this was based off of Maslow in 1943 that asked the question, what does an individual need in order to thrive or to do well? So for healthy development to occur, you look at that bottom portion of the pyramid. So human beings need to meet foundational needs such as psychological needs such as food, water, shelter, and safety. And those are at the green and purple pyramid at the bottom. So beyond this, as you move up, all humans thrive when they are loved and feel part of a larger group. They are competent and capable, able to understand and meet the basic requirements of their environment, capable of order and then self-actualization. What we know from basic research is that youth who do not have that foundational or basic needs met, so that means that they are thinking about food, where their food's going to come from, water, shelter, safety, and the same holds true for those youth that have experienced trauma. They're really unable to focus on learning or engage in other social interactions because they're so focused on getting those psychological or physiological needs met. And some of you may start thinking about some of those youth that you've been working to engage that seem a little like they're not able to learn through your programs, or they're just having a little bit harder time. What you may want to do is think about, are they asking those questions? Are they being fed? Maybe you need to have snacks, or maybe you need to engage with them and talk to them about where they are. Are they getting the rest that they need? Do they have a place that they're staying, or are they living in a car? We at UT Teen Health have met families before that have been living car to car and couch to couch. And so when those needs are not being met, it is very difficult for a young person to even engage and start learning. And so these are some of the basic things that you should keep in mind. So next we have the current social ecological model of prevention. And some of you may be familiar with this. It's been adapted from Bronfenbrenner's ecological model of development, but it's focused on the most influential in a young person's life, that macro system that we talked about. Micro system that we talked about, the family, school, neighborhood, health services, peers, and religious organizations. Although here it's defined as relationship, community, and societal. And this is that primary focus of positive youth development work. A lot of you mentioned when I said, when you hear positive youth development, what do you think about? A lot of you said relationship, community, society. So this model is a comprehensive approach involving diverse partnerships. So working across multiple levels of the social ecological model to influence the norms and behaviors of a young person or the individuals. So that lighter circle that we see there. Families, peer groups, schools, community, and government organizations, neighborhoods, and then society at large. organizations can also work with stakeholders to identify common goals and develop that synergy around complementary issues. So a lot of us are doing programming, utilizing our SRA programs. One of the things that we might want to look at is, are there families that are really dealing with maybe youth violence or having difficulty in school? So trying to figure out what are those areas that we can build that synergy on. Parent-child relationship quality, sexual health, substance abuse, social emotional learning objectives, or maybe even just looking at those exposure to violence. So the last model that we're going to look at is the 5 C's of positive youth development. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this because this framework is the most widely used by youth programs and policymakers. And it was developed by Dr. Richard Lenner and Dr. Jacqueline Lenner. They outlined 5 psychological, behavioral, and social characteristics that indicate youth are developing positively and thriving. And that's what you see here on that second column. So the 5 C's include competence. So do youth or young people have a positive view of their actions in social, academic, cognitive, health, and vocational areas? The second C is confidence. Are youth overall, do they all have an overall positive self-worth and self-efficacy? Connection is the next one. Are they forming positive bonds with people and institutions? Looking at character, do they respect society and cultural norms and standards? And the last C is caring and compassion. So are young people developing a sense of sympathy and empathy for others? And what they discuss is that when youth possess all 5 of these characteristics, they inspire a 6th C, which is called contribution. So they start wanting to contribute not only to themselves, but to our community and then society at large. So in order to provide a comprehensive approach to positive youth development in your program, it's also important to identify who might be missing from your program and what might they be able to add and how can you engage them. So for example, are mentors missing from your program? Well, perhaps you can partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters to bus youth to your facilities monthly and you provide the mentors. Or maybe invite churches and corporations like United Way that will give their employees a half day to mentor young people. We are at a medical school. And so we have engaged our medical students and they mentor our Youth Leadership Council. So every 30 minutes monthly, we have them come in and talk about what that journey to medicine looks like for those students that might be interested. It would be great to be able to continue to expand those mentoring services in your programs. And there was a question, Melissa, that says, what is the 6th C you mentioned? And that 6th C is contribution. So contributing to yourself, community, and society. So looking at who else is missing from your programs, maybe you have not engaged your families to be part of your program. So think about, can you have a family fun night for all ages? So looking at programming from the itty bitties all the way up to 17. Our YMCA, we partner with host family fun nights, and they do such a great job because they're able to provide that programming. There's outdoor movies that are going on. They have indoor basketball. And then we end up doing we host a panel to ask of our teens so that teens are relating to other teens. Maybe you can send newsletters home or highlight some of the students and the great work that they're doing. Perhaps it's faith organizations that are missing. You can partner with organizations like Young Life. I also know that there are churches that are ready and willing to partner with us on programming. We just have to ask and think through who is missing and how can we both be benefiting from this relationship. Banks are another one. They do a lot to promote financial literacy to young people. I know that Bank of America and I believe it's Frost Bank that both will give their employees, they'll pay them to host different classes for young people. So teaching them how to open a checking account or even how to write a check. Sometimes that's a lost art. And how to save money and what taxes means. I am not sure if some of you saw that video of a young person getting their check for the first time, and they had worked a lot of hours. And so they really thought that their check was going to be huge. And then they looked at and they noticed that there were taxes taken out. And they said, wait a minute, what do you mean there's taxes? What do you mean I didn't get paid my full 40 hours that I worked? So it's important that we prepare our young people to be successful, and that's all part of positive youth development. Perhaps it's city council. Local elected officials love to talk about civic responsibilities, or maybe there's an issue going on that young people are concerned about or their families are concerned about. This is a great way to pull them in and provide an opportunity, a platform for them to engage in that healthy communication. Parks, libraries, and nursing homes. A lot of our libraries here in San Antonio will provide opportunities for youth to read to other young people. They'll host teen events. And I also know that our nursing homes, which we've done this with our Youth Leadership Council, they've gone to visit nursing homes and have also just kind of cleared the grounds and added mulch to some of the areas. So there's great ways to partner and think through who else might be missing from your program that you can create that synergistic energy. Research shows that parents, teachers, mentors, coaches, and faith leaders, institutions like parks and libraries, adult and youth collaboration in family, schools, and community activities and access, so transportation and safety, all contribute to promoting positive youth development. So my question to you is, now that you have heard of the theoretical foundation and some of the research of positive youth development, and then looking at this slide about who is missing from your program, I want to know who, so think about your program. Who would you say you have not engaged as much as you have wanted to? And who do you plan to engage maybe after this webinar? So go ahead and think about that. Enter your responses in the chat, but don't hit send just quite yet, and I'll give you the countdown. So who would you say is missing from your program that you have not engaged? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go ahead and hit send. Banks, families, city council, families, local banks, parks and libraries. Great. Well, I think all of us kind of have our next to-do list. So I want to encourage you, as you're thinking who's missing, whether it's families, what can you do to really bring them in and find out what are some of those needs? Also banks, reach out to them to find out what type of literacy programs do they have for your young people. And that'll help your SRA program kind of take that to the next level and really focus on those positive youth developments and bringing them in, part of that community and societal prevention model. Excellent. Thank you all for participating in the chat. So as we move forward, I want to talk about the key principles of positive youth development. Many of you already know that we have to be intentional about our positive youth development process. We need to be proactive in promoting protective factors in young people. We know that positive youth development complements efforts to identifying risk factors and those conditions that increase the likelihood of negative outcomes, and protective factors help buffer against those negative effects. Positive youth development acknowledges youth assets and continues to strengthen or even develop those assets. All youth have the capacity for a healthier growth and development, and we want our programming to be part of that. Positive youth development principles enable youth to thrive and flourish to prepare for a healthy and secure adulthood. And another key principle is positive youth development involves youth as those active agents, where youth are valued, encouraged to participate in the design, delivery, and evaluation of the services of our programs. So the adults and youth are working in partnership together. Positive youth development instills leadership qualities, but we have to keep in mind that youth are not required to lead. A lot of times we want youth to take the lead, but we also need to be cognizant that youth can attend, they can actively participate, contribute, and they can also lead through positive youth development activities, but they're not required to. Another key principle includes having youth participate in that civic involvement and engagement. An integral part of SRAE programming includes community service learning projects. So when youth are able to participate in CSL projects, they can contribute to their schools and to their broader communities, developing that 6C, which we talked about, of contribution. Positive youth development involves every element of the community to include young people, family members, I'm going to say that again, family members, and community partners as they are valued through this process. Keep in mind that positive youth development is an investment where youth and adults work together to frame the solutions. So when these key principles are included in your programming, youth feel the most valued, loved, and they want to keep coming back. And keep in mind that you will build those protective factors in them. So you will hear from our grantees how they're integrating positive youth development in programming. And here is a comprehensive review of the literature research that focused on community programs for youth, identified these key environmental factors and experiences that have been found throughout positive youth development and promote positive youth development. So these factors and experience are recommended by the experts in integrating into our positive youth development programs. So as I describe each of these factors, also referred to as key practices, I want you to enter into the chat, and you don't have to wait for that waterfall strategy. I want you to enter into the chat an example of how your program might provide or maybe provides this for a young person. So as I go through each of these key practices or factors, so physical and psychological safety, I want you to think through how is your programming utilizing this, and enter that in the chat, because we really want this to be an opportunity for all of us to engage and learn from each other. So for physical and psychological safety, a program should provide group agreements or ground rules that are developed, agreed upon, and posted by youth participants. Adequately trained staff members who understand and respect youth are essential to providing a safe space for a positive program experience. A program should also include youth and adults who are trained in team building and can understand and recognize symptoms of cliques and find alternative means for using group and team building exercises. So really trying to bring those in. Skills training, I see Adria, role play exercise, great. Those are all really good strategies and examples. Appropriate structure is a program that should provide appropriate adult to youth ratios for supervision, a system for ensuring that youth are welcomed when they arrive, and a balance for different learning styles and programmatic activities. So really trying to make sure that if you see a group of young people off to the side, your adult volunteer or health educator knows to go over there and engage them. Just, hey, do you guys want to come and get involved in this icebreaker we're doing? Or, hey, what's going on? How was your week? Simply asking some simple questions really help young people, and using their names to feel loved and valued and welcomed. The next one is supportive relationships. So programs should create opportunities for youth to share their interests and work collaboratively with their peers. Staff should be trained in handling conflict, recognizing systems of withdrawal, and understanding how to engage youth without singling them out. I also want to include in here trauma-informed practices are so important, especially in a staff's ability to understand when they might be triggering somebody, or understand how to help them calm a young person down. Next is opportunities to belong. So a program should provide opportunities for youth to be engaged in small group activities based on interest. Brian, you say group activities and small talk. Yes, exactly. Structured team building can also be incorporated here to ensure that all youth have a chance to get acquainted. And a lot of times for youth to feel involved, they need those opportunities that we create to share what's going on. And so, as Brian mentioned, small talk, keeping those opportunities for sharing between peers is important. The next one is positive social norms. So programs should engage youth and program staff in creating a respectful environment that involves a respect for diversity and culture in activities. I know that there are some programs that have done this by letting their communities know of different programs that are going on at churches and also at temples and different faith-based organizations. And so it allows for families of those faith-based organizations to feel respected and to feel that they're being known and valued. So I know that some of you have put leadership building in the chat, allows for students to create, let's see, where is that? To create environments for that, for those opportunities. The next one is support for efficacy and mattering. And so that goes with opportunities to make a difference. So programs should engage youth in exploring career and workforce opportunities, as we mentioned before, and provide occasions for goal setting and creating opportunities for youth to make a difference in service learning or that peer support. Opportunities for skill development. So having programs, our programs should provide opportunities for youth to master and apply skills and engage the youth in determining what their choices might be. I know that we're going to hear from Archie, one of the grantees, on how they do this in their program through Choosing to Excel. And lastly, the integration of family, school, and community efforts. So this is a program. We really need to look at our programs and find ways to incorporate and engage parents or guardians, staff, and youth participants through those family activities. And I noticed that a lot of you needed to engage families. So looking at newsletters, websites, social media, believe it or not, there are adults, moms and dads, guardians that utilize TikTok. And so looking at ways to engage them that way, and also through program policies. So programs need to be aware when youth are in and out of school and plan accordingly, because that's really when we can meet the needs of our families through extended program opportunities. Additionally, programs should be mindful of certain populations, such as youth who are having difficulty connecting, and maybe just having difficulty engaging, and thinking through how can you best reach them and get them involved in programming. Barbara mentioned parent workshops. Exactly. Being able to help parents with what they need, especially as we, shift from moving out of COVID into meeting now outside. There are a lot of family needs that we're seeing. So we did talk a lot about our theoretical foundation for positive youth development. You heard about you listened to me talk about the models and some of the key practices. I want to leave you with these next 2 slides as we transition to our guest grantees presentations and our Q&A. Positive youth development changes really how we look at and provide youth services. And it's similar to, and I want you to do this with me, hold out your hands, just like I am, and then just clasp them together. So for some of you, you'll notice that your left thumb, so for me, my left thumb is on top, and for others, your right thumb is on top. And this is what's natural. If you just open your hands and clasp them, you don't have to think about it. This is what's natural to you. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and unclasp your hands. And I want you, the next time that you clasp your hands, to put the opposite thumb on top. So go ahead and do that with me. It took me a while to do that. What do you notice? I want you to go ahead and type your responses now in the chat. What do you notice when you did this? And you tried to put the opposite thumb on top. It felt awkward. Thank you, Danny. It's uncomfortable. It feels unnatural. Hands couldn't close all the way. All right, I like that, Jasmine. Strange. Had to think hard. It didn't seem to fit well or as well. Exactly. For a lot of us, it just feels totally unnatural, uncomfortable. And for some of you, you might not have felt a difference right away, but you did have to think about it because I did see that. This is very much like this paradigm shift we need to take when we choose to incorporate strength-based approaches in positive youth development. So we move from fixing problems to building on youth strengths and guiding them. Instead of reacting to a problem behavior, we need to be proactive and build positive outcomes. We move from looking at youth as recipients or absorbing our resources to youth as resources themselves and active participants. We traditionally focus on all the programs and interventions we can provide, but really what we need to do is focus on relationship building. So throughout relationship building, youth not just become part of the business of professionals, which is what we're all, doing, but really part of everyone in the community. So we really need to stop blaming others for our past and start working together to improve our future and the future of our young people. So again, when we put our intentional or positive youth development, it's like we have to think about putting our other thumb on top. It feels unnatural. Strength-based approaches is also that paradigm shift. So instead of the next time when you have a young person that is bossy, instead of saying they're bossy, let's say they're a good director, a natural leader. Instead of saying a young person is clingy, say they're affectionate. You might have a young person that is conceited. Let's say that they value themselves. Instead of saying a young person is mean, say that they are a power seeker. Or if a young person is quiet, let's say that they're thoughtful. Instead of saying a young person is a tattletale, let's say that they seek justice. And instead of saying a young person is too talkative, say they know how to communicate. Just like our hands, we had to think about it. This is very much like this paradigm shift we need to take to incorporate a strength-based approach in positive youth development. It takes intentionality. You all said it yourselves in the chat. Positive youth development is intentional, and that's exactly it. We need to remember the most influential in a young person's life is that microsystem, the family, school, neighborhoods, health services, peers, and religious organization. And it all takes all of us, all these partnerships to contribute to the healthy development of a young person. And this is the primary focus of our positive youth development work. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to Archie Kern, who is from Choosing to Excel. And we are going to take this time now to hear from our grantees and learn from them of some of the key practices and partnerships that they've utilized in their programming. Archie?
All right, everybody. First off, I want to apologize. I am off on the time. But we're not gonna let that hold us up. We're gonna get straight to it, and I want to talk to you about some of the things that we do in our program. At the moment, I'm not able to run through the slides, so I think Megan is gonna be switching over for me. So I'll just say next slide, and we'll get straight to it. So I work for Choosing to Excel. We are a nonprofit here and based out of Conway, Arkansas. But we are in 9 different counties in the state of Arkansas. So we teach a bunch of different classrooms, and we have a bunch of different small groups that we believe promote positive youth development in our program using these 9 models you have. All right, next slide, please. All right, physical and psychological safety. Where you see these X's at, these are things that they describe as characteristic. Well, we picked out 3 on each one that I believe focuses on our program. As you see right here, staff members make youth feel comfortable, supported, and feel safe. Staff members encourage youth to be respectful of the rights and choices of others related to sexuality and sexual health. And then staff members have been trained in managing group dynamics. Also, every staff member on our staff has had a background check, and we all go through different development and trainings every week. Coincidentally, a lot of people on our staff have master's degrees in different areas. We have people like myself. I have a bachelor's in exercise science and a master's in human performance. And then there's other staff members that have bachelor's and masters in counseling and training and stress management. So we utilize every staff member's degree also as well to help us with professional development where we can learn from other areas and we can possibly use those things to help us with our kids. To make them feel safe, we let them know that we are mandated reporters. So that way, if anything does get said, we are protected for ourselves, but we also let them know that they can come to us, talk to us about anything, but certain things have to be reported by us. All right. Next slide, please. Appropriate structure. Do we provide a clear and consistent rules and expectations and age-appropriate monitoring? As you can see, those are the 3 chains we check. But all encouragers are trained. Every last from mentors to volunteers, everybody is trained. At the door, when we're in the classrooms, as soon as before the bell rings, we are outside and we are sometimes playing music, and we I had a dance battle one time in the hallway just to open the vibe up in the room to make everyone feel comfortable walking in, to make everyone feel excited about what we're finna discuss and talk about. Definitely have classroom control is needed. Me personally, everyone has their own different teaching method, their teaching style. I like to have as much fun as possible, but then when it's time to be serious, I have that. Can you hear me now? Clap once. Can you hear me now? Clap twice. And then we bring the control back to the room, and then we get back to the lesson. We also involve summer programs. After those summer programs, we feel that is needed. Most of people that if you do the research, a lot of juvenile crimes happen when parents are not at home. So because those kids have that free time. So we do have involved summer programs and after school programs. And with those programs, we try to have at least 1 staff member per 10 students, 5 to 10 students That way we can always, have the class manageable and be, not only just have the class manageable, but be able to keep an eye on everyone, make sure nothing happens that we can't control. All right, next slide, please. Supportive relationships. Here again, I checked off 3 things that I feel like our program does. Staff members are comfortable discussing and addressing young people's questions. Staff members work to build and enhance each youth unique strengths. Staffs are trained and able to proactively engage quiet and withdrawn youth. It's one of the activities that I love to do in every classroom, or even in every small group, or after school program. And some of you've probably done it before. Is we play this little game, and I always have like a surprise at the end, or whoever finds the most going to get this, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's candy, sometimes it's gift cards, whatever the prize may be. So the goal is to walk around the classroom or the building or wherever we at and find as many things that are red or any other color. And then they all come back excited, like, oh, I know I found the most. I know I found the most. They have their list of all the things they found was red. Then I ask, what did you see that was yellow? And then everyone gets mad. And like, you didn't tell us to find anything yellow. So, but I encourage them to so people only look at, you only showing people the things that they can see. But you always have these hidden gifts and these hidden talents of things that they don't see, and they are the key to you being successful. And those are things you should let shine as well. So we encourage them to be in themselves, let other people see all the good sides of them, not just the things that they feel are the things that they're pressured or the things that's trending. All right, next slide, please. Opportunities belong. Provide opportunities for meaningful inclusions of all youth, opportunities for positive identity formation, and support for cultural and bicultural competence. With this, what we do have, like I said, is volunteer small groups. These we at the beginning of the year, we promote them. We tell everybody what's going on in these programs. We encourage them to come. We give food. We bring in speakers. But these programs are volunteer. Students they literally leave their lunches and come to be a part of these programs. But also with those programs, we do community service. So we make them feel like this is just not something that we're doing at the school. This is something that we're going to do to help other people as well. But they're coming there to learn more about themselves, learning more about identity, learning more about good decision making, learning more about being a better them. We're not trying to change who they are. We just want to make them better at what they already do. Next slide, please. Positive social norms. We do encourage behaviors and values that promote and respect, including early communicated expectations. This goes back into our small groups, but we also have curriculum that we teach from, choosing the best soulmate, journey, really essentials that we pull from that promote positive social norms. Bianca, who is our mentor, and she does a lot of things with outsourcing and research. She brings in what we call examples in skin. Ms. Moulton called them EISs. She brings in examples in skin. So when we're talking about married couples in her small group, Bianca has a whole week a whole month where she brings in different married couples, and the students can ask them a series of questions about how did they get where they are? What are some complications they have in marriage? Same thing with jobs. They'll write down stuff that they want to do. The uncle literally goes out in the community and finds those people to bring in to talk about the certain jobs or the careers that they do have. All right. Next slide, please. Ava, stop. Opportunities to make a difference. This right here is mainly for our leadership team. Our leadership team are a group of young students that have made the decision that they want to be the light. They want to be the trend. They want to be different. They want to make a difference in our community. So Our leadership team is a group of our leadership and junior leaders are a group of people that have decided to make that decision and they join our program. And it's not just say they can't come in and say, "Hey, I want to be a part. I want to be in the leadership team." There's an application process. They have to do a resume, and then they have to go through an interview, and they're chosen based off their references and their teachers' references. And those students get to go to DC to talk to the electors and senators about our program to get them to make a decision to continue to fund or defund us in a matter. Most of the time, or lately, here we always been getting a yes, especially from French Hill. That's what we've seen lately. The last 3 times that we've been, and he's been very proactive with our program. He knows who we are, and because of that, we feel like those students, him hearing their voices, help make a difference in our program, help us get more funding, help us be able to go out and reach more students, and then serve our community more. Next slide, please. Oh, opportunities for skill development. This is a very huge part of our program. Like I said before, we have ongoing staff development with many different topics, whether it's trauma, whether it's stress, whether it's classroom management. Then there's a big thing with the LGBT community. I'm missing some letters out of there, but we even had staff training on that just to make sure that we're saying the appropriate things in the classroom to not cause unintended consequences. So we always have ongoing staff development at least once a month, sometimes twice a month on different topics. Next slide, please. Integration of family, school, and community efforts. This is huge for me. Bianca, who is our main person that handles this, but we are big on getting family involved. We have like this year with COVID, we had a parent Zoom night where we told the parents about everything in our program. We have a school Zoom where all the teachers and principals and superintendents, they got on the Zoom. They were able to ask questions about what we do and how do we think it's changing the community. We get out and we promote. We have banners and signs literally all across Conway that we have up that are there for mentors to sign up, to let people know more about Excel. They can call and ask questions about Excel and see how can they get involved. We are always in the community, especially with our Baby Think It Over and our HFA program. So we are in the community promoting what we do, trying to help more people, and also just get the name of Excel out there where we can continue to change lives. And, like I said, once again, make you a better you, not changing who you are, but just make you a better you. Next slide, please. Partnerships for positive youth development. We do things with the hospitals. Hospitals send over potential clients for our Healthy Families of America program. So we definitely have partnerships with hospitals, pharmacists. We also have partnerships with other nonprofits in the area that kind of do things similar to what we do. One example would be Deliver Hope, who focuses on the juvenile detention center, or people that are coming from the juvenile. I do a lot of work with them myself, especially with after school program that I started called Training for Purpose. We have the ministry center where we go over there and help them with food boxes and getting out food to the homeless, especially during the wintertime when they have food drives and they try to get the homeless in when on really, really cold days. We partner with them. And we also do things with local churches and parents to just, like I said, once again, get the name of Excel out there and be able to help more people. I think that is all the slides that I have. Now we're going to pass it over to Pastor Nam.
Archie, good stuff. Hi, everybody. Great hearing from Archie and from Jennifer. Some great content there. I hope that all of you are enjoying it. I get the great privilege to just share a little bit about what we're doing. One thing that I love about positive youth development is the fact that we all have a story. And for me, I think about my history and my past. And when I was 15, I lost my dad in a horrible accident. I found my dad dead underneath a dump truck that hydraulics had failed on him. And from that moment on, emotionally, my family life, so many things started to crumble. And I started a really unhealthy relationship with a girl in high school. And from that moment on, I became sexually active, and I should have been a teen dad at 15. And really, it's a miracle that the funny thing is, I was being a young girl that, or girl that was ended up becoming the salutatorian of our school. I graduated with a 4.25, and it's amazing that even though we were really smart on paper, we were making some foolish decisions. All that to say is, it's so important to have adults and mentors and people like you pouring into the lives of students. And I want to encourage you with that. I have a couple of things to share. I get to lead our Thrive Youth HD program at our that's we're connected to our church, but really Thrive Youth HD is separate from our church, and we have an amazing staff. And as a part of that, I share my story because it's so important to create a safe environment, so that physical and psychological safety for students. We train our staff to make students feel comfortable. I believe even Archie said something about doing a little dance off, and it's a really fun thing. It's open and comfortable. Students want to know that you care about them. It's not that you have a book to go through with them or an agenda. It's all about being real and honest with them. I tend to always share my story. We go through Love Notes 3.0 and Relationship Smarts in our program. And as we share, I encourage our staff, be real, be honest, be transparent. Tell kids about the things that you've done in your past, and how now through this program, you can help avoid those big issues in their life and find healing and restoration. That helps people feel comfortable and safe. So we also encourage staff members to be proactive about resolving conflicts among youth. We know that sometimes kids are going to bring baggage. They're going to bring baggage, and we have to be ready to address that conflict in a very healthy way. One of the biggest ways is simply with students, having conversation, laying ground rules from the very beginning of your program. So when you start, you're getting to know people. These kids don't know you. Let them know who you are, but let them also know that you care about who they are. Know their names. That's so important to teens. They want to make sure that they're not just a number, that they are truly an individual that you care about. Having an appropriate structure in your program is extremely important as well. Program always has a sufficient number of adults that supervise activities. So make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself with a ton of students that you can't even track. It's so important to have a key team. Last night, we just started a program at a church with 21 students, and we had a team of 6 available for that night. And so it was wonderful to have such a wonderful team to be a part of that time with the students. And it's so helpful to have that much support. So make sure that you arrange the right amount of staff members or team members to be a part of what you're doing. Providing an age-appropriate structure. I mentioned we have that relationship smarts curriculum for those younger students from 10 to 12, 10 to 13, and then love notes for those kids in high school and early young adulthood. It's important to talk about things in a very age-appropriate way. If you're interested in going to churches, being aware that, to a certain extent, some groups are going to be a little bit more conservative, or moms and dads are going to have more questions about, hey, what is all this content? What are you guys talking about? And making sure that it's going to be shared in a way that is truly age appropriate, and be aware of the environment that you're presenting in. The staff implementation of the program using the fidelity, make sure that you're looking at those logs, assessing that you are truly hitting all the points in the program that are going to help these students succeed. Supportive relationships. Archie talked a lot about this, but having those relationships that are genuine for students. I love that in our program, youth have really shared and given us feedback, as well as adults, that, man, they trust our staff, that they know that they can count on our mentors, on our educators, that we want to truly lend an ear, but not only an ear, but that we also are willing to take that step forward to help them find health and success in their future. Our staffs are trained and able to proactively engage the quiet and withdrawn youth. There's always going to be those students that are super loud and super outgoing, and then those students that are so quiet, they might be even hesitant to join you in the classroom or whatever setting you're teaching. But engage them. You might have a staff member that is more in that category of a quieter person, and they can relate. And it's so important to create an environment and have supportive relationships for all types of students that are in your program. Again, we want to help students develop communication skills. Giving students a platform is so important. Generation Z wants a platform. They're on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. They're trying to just publish stuff, right? And create, use their creativity. Give them that platform, of course, in that safe space, but give students that have certain skills and abilities, give them an opportunity to express themselves, and then get creative, especially around sexual decision making. How can you create really great discussions or activities that help students grow in those areas? Creating opportunities to belong. We all want to belong. We all know that horrible feeling when you don't get chosen for a sports team, or you're the last one picked. Don't create an environment like that. Make it clear that even as we do the personality assessments, everybody's a little different, but everyone is so valuable and so wonderful. And we got to learn more about each other. So our program needs to provide opportunities for youth to work together to accomplish a goal, right? Have them share about their goals. Have them think through creative ideas for their future. Program is branded. In fact, I'm wearing this hat. It's our Thrive Youth hat. Kids love it. We give out shirts and hats and all types of cool merch. This branding is so important. Kids want to feel like they're a part of something that is fun and exciting and innovative. If all you do is sit down kids and tell them to listen to you, they are not going to want to stay in your program, period. They're not going to really listen. But if you create an environment that, again, you're branding what you're doing, you're making it about them, not about you, they're going to love it, and they're going to tell their friends. We've seen this all the time, where students are telling their friends, hey, you need to come with me to Thrive. And it's so cool to see that. So use that branding wisely. When working on activities or projects, our staff members provide all youth with roles such as timekeeper, note taker, spokesperson. All that is so key. Some kids have never been asked to do any of that. And so for you to empower is such a powerful thing for students. So, and by the way, thanks for loving on our merch, Jennifer. So cool. All right, positive social norms. We provide a clear message emphasizing that relationship violence of any kind in any type of relationship is not acceptable. That's one of my favorite lessons in our material through Love Notes, because students, there's going to be those talks that are going to get a lot more serious. And like I mentioned earlier, it's so important to set the tone for how you're going to have these conversations. That, yes, we're going to have fun, we're going to get to know each other, but then there's going to be these serious conversations about violence, abuse, about STIs, about all types of stuff. And I loved seeing how students respond so well, even the younger ones. They're ready to learn and listen because we create that environment. Our staff model positive, respectful interactions, especially when discussing topics related to sexual health. So, of course, we're in no way engaging in weird jokes or anything that is borderline. We keep it professional, and we encourage students to be mature, and it's part of the development. We teach students to think critically about what influences their lives and decisions. So we're going to talk about things that are going to challenge them to go back to their childhood days, things that maybe they've kind of kept in the back of their mind, things that they're avoiding. And again, in a very safe space, to address how the media, cultural norms, social media are impacting and influencing their lives. We also create opportunities to make a difference. Being connected to a church, we're trying to always also invite students to connect to different community events, sports events, things that their school offers, things that we offer a career module that points students in the right direction in regards to whatever career they're looking into. So again, creating meaningful opportunities for leadership initiative for adolescents in our program. By the way, one of the fun things we've done, I think someone mentioned TikTok, but we invited a famous TikToker that's 18 years old, is really outspoken about teens making healthy decisions. And we talked about what are the things that the dangers of social media, and it was a wonderful like Q&A. And so just keep in mind that you can get really creative with opportunities that make a difference. Opportunities for skill development, again, connecting that to the career module, using interactive techniques such as role playing. Many of you already wrote some of that down, that you've gotten creative. I saw someone wrote down skits. I love skits, by the way. If you, even a fun thing to write a skit with students and then they bring it to the table at the next meeting is a really fun thing to do. Integration of family, school, and community efforts. I know Archie spoke a little bit on that. So important. Get them connected, get them plugged in, give them options, and mobilizing your community. Get them involved in food banks, get them involved in, we have a program called City Serve through our church where we hand out not only food, but also beds, furniture, things like that. And so we do our very best to connect students that way. And again, just to wrap it up here, I know we've talked a lot, but partnerships for PYD, youth mentors, such as girls and boys clubs, coaches, faith-based organizations, food assistance. Again, we got to remember some of these students, they're going to be embarrassed to share that their family doesn't have food, or they might not want to ask about, hey, where's the food banks at? You have to create a very safe space and give them those options in a very loving way that they know, hey, there's no shame. We want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed. Employment services, look at what is available in your own community. I know with COVID, it's been a challenge, but hey, maybe you have business owners, people that network, use your connections and invite people. You'll be surprised how many people are willing to come in. We brought a sex therapist to come in and share about her life and share about her journey in education and why she wanted to become a sex therapist. And it was a really amazing experience for the teens that were part of that. And that connects with that guest speakers and influencers. So important, so valuable. I hope that helps you out. I'm going to turn it to Nancy and open it up for questions. It was such a joy to be with all of you. Hope that you're learning a lot. Have a good one.
Great. Thank you so much, Nahum. Nahum, Jennifer, Archie, I'd asked you all to put your cameras on as we move to Q&A, and I just want to thank you for those wonderful and insightful presentations. And clearly, you've all provided us with some great examples of how a positive youth development approach really is intended to provide the supports that youth need to ensure that they have safety nets, both in your programs and also in the communities that you serve. So the first question that I have is, Jennifer, directed to you. In implementing a positive youth development approach, you spoke about meeting the housing needs of youth as one of your examples. Are there partnerships that can be formed to help youth meet the needs of belongingness and love, which so many of our youth are crying out for? And what types of organizations would you recommend partnering with to help meet those needs?
That is such a great question. So we have a youth shelter here in San Antonio. There's a larger family shelter, and then within that larger one, it's called Haven for Hope. There is a smaller one for youth. So we just know who the director is there. We have a number, and we'll often just, if there is a need, we'll call and see how many beds are available and just provide that information to families. Oftentimes, families So if the young person is kind of asking those questions, it's really either they themselves are looking for housing or their family is. And so we have a great relationship with our city of San Antonio and work through the San Antonio Housing Authority. So those are just some of the areas. Some of our nonprofit agencies have 24 emergency shelters for young people. And so looking at what is in your area is important, and then developing those relationships, meeting with them and going to visit the area where young people might be staying is also important, because you want to ensure that when you're doing that warm handoff, that you know that the young person's going to a safe and supportive environment.
Great, thank you so much, Jennifer. This next question is for both Archie and Nahum, and it is, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced in ensuring partnerships that truly provide the support that the youth you serve need?
My answer is going to be not enough help. Sometimes we have these new ideas that we feel that would definitely help with the program that we got, and we don't get enough people involved that can help it come into, exactly how we want it to look. That's my biggest thing right now. Sometimes we don't get enough help on certain projects or within certain programs that we would like to have the help in. The last 2 years haven't been a problem because of the lower numbers and everything when inside the schools, but before that, the biggest thing was just not enough, manpower.
Yeah, I would say it's so important to partner and meet people and again connect with different organizations, businesses. I mean, you gotta put in the work to reach out to people that are not necessarily in your field, not like you, and really look around in your community. For me, our team, we're in the high desert. We're in a community in California where 50% or more of people are on government assistance. The culture here, I mean, this ain't Orange County. This isn't, I mean, this is a very different environment. And so there's a lot of need. There's not a lot of positive thinking regarding education and moving forward. So again, finding people that can really inspire these students and again be real with students helps with that. But again, you have to learn how to meet other groups of people and get them connected and inspire students. So I hope that helps answer a little bit of that.
Sure, thanks, Sam. I do have a follow-up question on that, and it is, you stress the importance of getting out there and meeting people. If you had to give the other grantees on this webinar a couple of pieces of advice about the best way to go about meeting people to create those partnerships, what would it be?
Well, you got to start with what you have. So, and if you're already connected to a community group, like let's say a church, a business, and just start talking to people about what you're doing and about what you're looking for. So, for instance, I talked to one of our coworkers here in our church office. They actually don't even have anything to do with our Thrive, and we were telling them about our program. And she says, "Oh, I was telling her I'd love to do like a sports camp or like meet someone that can speak about." Sports education, but not necessarily for the people who are the really star athletes, but the students that maybe they're athletes, but they know that they may not reach like that pro level, but they still want to develop a career. And she connected me to a great organization, got to speak to the president of the organization, and we're scheduling something for this summer where he's going to come by and talk to kids about what is available for students that maybe aren't the star athletes, but they can still be stars in the sense of developing their other skills and still love to get connected into sports and stuff like that. So you just start with what you have, but you got to start talking and talk to people that maybe you're not used to talking. It's just one phone call, and what do you have to lose, right? Just make that effort and start that communication.
I'm gonna piggyback off that too, if y'all don't mind. Like and he said the worst answer you can get is no. So that's the very worst answer you can get is no. But you would be surprised how many people like really want to get involved, but just don't know about your program or what you got going on. So just always been available to talk and talk about what you're doing, some things that you're looking for, some things that you need, and somebody may know somebody that can get you the answer that you need or the help that you may need.
Great. Thank you both for that. And Jennifer, I just want to give you the opportunity because in the beginning of your presentation, you talked about all those wonderful partnerships that you form with faith-based organizations and the Boys and Girls Clubs, et cetera. So your piece of advice for how to go out and make sure that you find the partnerships you need to support the youth that you serve.
It's very much in line with Pastor Munoz and Archie. Your greatest advocates are those people that are part of your programming. They know you, you've built that trust. And so a lot of our connections have been through our parents, and we have a youth community advisory group. And so we'll present to them some of the needs that we might have in our program. And they will say, well, I know this person that should know this other person. And they make that connection for you, but because they're already part of your program, they know some of the details and they understand what your needs are, they are so willing to just connect you. We had parents connect us to their boss, and their boss had connections with someone else. So really just use, as everyone mentioned, what you have. And the worst that can happen is you're in the same predicament that you were before. And the best thing that can happen is that you get your programmatic needs met and you develop those partnerships that are symbiotic.
And
Great.
if
Well,
I could add to that,
absolutely.
Nancy, could I add to that? Yeah, no, I just think as Jennifer was sharing that, it makes me think about, you got to connect with people who trust you. So just a point of advice, like if you just call a church and say, hey, I want to bring this program, they're not going to let you in. But if you talk to, if you know a parent, or even better yet, like the youth minister or someone like that, and you develop a relationship with them, and then share a story of a student in your program that has been benefited by your program, and share your heart with them, now they're going to be like, hey, I like this, like this can work. I can see us partner with you. And so just know that it's more of a trust thing. So if you start with those who trust you already, they will be your spokespersons. They will be the people that will be your advocates for getting into other places and having more access to students.
Great. Thank you all for that. I couldn't agree more. I think that the youth that we serve and their parents are probably our best advocates for programming, right? Because when they tell the story to others, it's not self-serving, right? And so people just love to hear from the youth, and there's nothing better than a youth who is enthusiastic about the program that they have gone to both recruit other youth into the program and to bring funders on board and other organizations that will walk alongside you and really build out those safety nets to help the youth thrive in our programs. So at this point, we have no other questions. And so we will move on to begin our closeout here. As Megan said when she introduced the webinar today, the recording of the webinar will be available on the exchange in about a week and a half. And so you will see those resources there, but we have here for you the resources and the wonderful references from the presentation from Jennifer. And we just want to give you a heads up that there will be continued learning on the positive youth development approach. A tip sheet will be coming out to extend your learning on innovative strategies for building partnerships and networks within communities to support youth in reaching their full potential. And that should be coming out in the next week or so. Additionally, next Wednesday, July 14th, there will be a cluster call to facilitate a conversation among the SRAE grantees on practical strategies, challenges, and questions related to this topic. That will be followed on July 21st and July 28th with workshops where we will spend some time in small group breakout rooms, sharing with each other the challenges we faced in this arena, as well as the successes that others have had, and help you all to learn to build partnership networks to support your program recipients. I want to remind you that the exchange, which is funded by the Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, Family Youth Services Bureau, is a training and technical assistance resource and networking tool for all of the SRAE grantees. The exchange provides you with resources, curriculum, tip sheets, research reports, etc. There is a comment wall, which is a place for you to connect with other grantees and share your ideas and best practices. The events calendar is also hosted there with upcoming information on our cluster calls, webinars, topical trainings, and upcoming workshops. There are training opportunities and recorded webinars, and this webinar and slides will be available through the exchange. And finally, I want to remind you of the technical assistance that Public Strategies provides for grantees. If you are in need of technical assistance, you can contact your federal project officer to request that technical assistance. Other online resources that are available are those that are available for the youth. The We Think Twice campaign, which was created by and for youth. And that site includes numerous resources that encourage youth to avoid sex, drinking, drug use, and other risky behaviors, and to be active participants in planning for a successful future. The site is regularly updated with new tools, quizzes, challenges, and inspiration. And in addition to the We Think Twice website, there is also the We Think Twice Facebook page and Instagram accounts. Our contact information is here for you, and I'm going to just remind everyone that Megan will be placing the link in the chat for you to complete your survey, to please provide us with your feedback on today's webinar. I want to thank once again our three presenters, Jennifer San Pedro Todd, Archie Kern, and Nahum Munez. I really appreciated the opportunity to learn along with all of you, the grantees who joined us. We thank you for your participation, for your willingness to join us and learn, and we hope to see you all soon at the cluster call and the workshops. As a reminder, you should be receiving within the next hour or so, if you have not gotten it already, the invitation for the cluster call. And so we welcome you to sign up and register to participate in next week's cluster call. And with that, we thank you all for joining us. We thank FISB for their partnership in allowing us at Public Strategies to provide this training and technical assistance to you all.